Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
And there you have it. It is, in fact, Canada Day. We are coming at you live with LG Hockey Hotline again. And I guess a new special edition Canada Day Hockey Hotline. That's good old Doug Allen of the Buffalo Sabres giving us that beautiful rendition. What are we doing here, Moran?
Well, we're in on, after week whatever, 5 maybe, rolling in slow and methodical here.
Well, I guess congratulations, Hunter Shinkaruk. He just put in the shout box as a goalie. He just scored a goal. Just figured I'd shout that out since I just happened to see that. But we will hopefully get Brody McDonald on here to talk about NHL 18 and maybe some future LG plans for next season if I can weasel it out of him. Try and get an idea of where we're going to be going after this season and what we plan on doing with the new game. There's a lot of new features that I'd like to discuss and, kind of excited. I mean, it's like you said, from what everybody's talking about, it doesn't look like Frostbite is a part of this. You're hearing that it's still maybe, but nobody's announced anything. Nobody's talking about it. The video of the gameplay looks the same. It doesn't look like it's changed onto the Frostbite server. So, I mean, we'll find out what's going on with that in, short time here, the next couple months. But I hope the features that they've added to the game will be okay. I really hope they just change to Frostbite, but we'll get into as much of that as we can when Brody joins us, which will be momentarily. But I guess before that, Moran, how you doing, man?
Well, I when it comes to that, I'm just depressed, really. You'd think if they switched to Frostbite, it would have been one of the main focal points of all their promo videos coming out so far, instead of just, all the fancy new gadgets that they put into the game that may or may not work.
Or may not have been in there before.
Right. So, we'll see. I mean, they have to do something about their online experience. Otherwise, what's the point? I mean, they're just spinning their tires and they're not really progressing anywhere if their online experience is still awful. So we'll see how that goes. I mean, it's all up in the air. I haven't heard a peep about it from any of the promos or anything. So hopefully I'm wrong and they are kind of just sneaking it in there and designing the game on Frostbite. But if they're using the same old servers, we can expect the same old delay.
Yep. Yeah, I don't even – honestly, I'm really just so done talking about it. It's not even – like you get into a game, it's really not even a point in telling your teammates that you're lagging or anything's going on because
should just be expected.
It's become the norm. I think that's the most frustrating thing because it's all kind of gone backwards in that sense on the new gen console, whereas when we were on PlayStation 3, there wasn't really ever an issue unless it had to do specifically with someone's internet at home. But internet has gotten better, and it seems like the new stuff that they're putting in it's not able to be handled, and causes issues. So, I'm kind of done talking about connection. I just really hope they get that part figured out. But the game itself, thinking aside from Frostbite servers, things like that, I do like that they're adding in more stick control, especially
sure.
especially as a defenseman. I don't really care so much about whether you can do the cool new deeks or not. It's something that is going to be cool. It'll be another area that you'll have to learn to defend as a defender or a goaltender. More opportunities for tripping penalties and slashing penalties and whatever, but it also allows for more creativity. But you get a good defense to that by being able to control your stick and hold it out in front of you and actually control the direction that you're putting it into the passing lane or the skating lane to knock it loose. So I like that they've added that counter to it, and really hope that it gives a balance to it. I've always wanted more control with my stick as a defender.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, it's a feature that was in the game and past generations. On PlayStation 3, you could move your stick around simply by holding L1 and pressing to the right or left on your right analog. You could swing it and take away the passing lanes. And that kind of went away, and it went away, and now it's back as a new feature. So let's hope they bring back things like team practice mode and club as well as a new feature. So I'm going to hold and reserve all my, at this point it's, let's see what they put out and see if it's even worth it at this point.
Right. Yeah, I think that it's harder to get excited because of that particular but I mean, to be completely honest, the game itself, I will always probably get. There's not really anything deterring me from getting it. I love hockey. I want to play the game.
Oh, absolutely.
I just want to be less disappointed with it. So, yeah, I'm not really sure. Hey, can you, oh, there we go. Never mind. I was going to say if you can try and give Brody some sort of link or invite or something.
Yeah,
It wasn't looking, but
can you
here
hear
it
me?
is. Yep, we can hear you.
Yeah, okay. Holy shit, that was weird.
And we welcome to the show Brody McDonald, our commander-in-chief, as it were, I guess. And that is the logo, I believe, that Triz does not like you to have, right?
Yeah, that's the old school one.
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. How are you?
Oh, doing just fine.
Doing well, man. It's first time on the show. I mean,
in a long time.
In a while. Yeah, it's been
definitely
for
sure.
Time.
Yeah, probably since midway point of last season, I think.
Yeah.
Yep. So we're having you on here because we're going to discuss NHL 18, which will be released obviously later this year in September, and how that will or won't affect LG as far as maybe things we're going to do, and also maybe talk about a couple of things that if you've gotten some of the things that figured out for next season that we're going to do, maybe talk about a few of those. Obviously, if there's things you can't talk about, we won't talk about them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Definitely. Yeah, so I guess 18, everyone's been pretty hyped about it and pretty pumped up about it, especially with all the news and stuff that the beta is, coming closely. We haven't got confirmed dates yet, but I know if you follow the timelines of the last 3 or 4 titles, the beta will likely be out within the next 2.5 to 3 weeks. So I know that definitely has made a ton of people fairly excited. The beta looks like is going to be just mainly all the main focus on the 3-on-3 stuff. So some of the 3-on-3 arcade, some of the 3-on-3 ESHL, as well as the 3-on-3, I believe, some of the offline stuff too. So it'd be a lot of fun for sure.
So with the 3-on-3, is there anything you guys plan on doing? Is the 3-on-3 going to be part of the beta?
Yeah, the beta is pretty much only going to be 3-on-3. Like, I'm pretty sure this is the first time that they're going to release a beta that won't have anything, like won't have hot or won't have anything like that. It's just simply going to be 3-on-3 and all the different modes with it, because they're looking for a lot of feedback in regards to how the mode plays, any tuner stuff they're looking for, and what people think about it. That's kind of the main focus with the beta is going to be prior to the 18 launch. So the main focus will be 100% on 3-on-3.
So there won't be any 5v5.
Sorry. That's not true. I believe it'll probably
6.
Yeah. So how it works right now, I think in ESHL is when you go into club, you have the option. So like I'm looking at the screen now because I'm playing on Xbox, and when you fill a dressing room, at the very bottom it says right now it says search, and then we have exact sizes. So the new dressing room looks exactly the same, but on the bottom it has the option to search for 3-on-3 or search for 6v6. It's kind of how it is. So if you have the right position selected in club, you can search for 3-on-3, or if you're full, you could definitely search for the full 6v6 experience. I'm not 100% sure what the beta is going to have, but I do assume it'll have both options, because they're probably going to look for gameplay feedback in the SHL in regards to how it plays 6v6, but also how it plays 3-on-3. So I'm assuming both will be an option in the SHL for the beta.
Okay, and does the 3-on-3 also, is it 4-on-4 essentially? Will you be able to have a human goalie controlled with the 3-on-3?
Yeah, so when you play 3-on-3 drop-in, the goalies are CPUs. But if you play 3-on-3 in club, you do have the option to run with the human goalie. So it is. It's technically 4-on-4, but they're calling it EA3. So
of course.
Definitely in club it is an option. And it's on the big ice too. So it's on like the regular ESHL club size ice.
Right. So it's like an overtime.
Pretty much, essentially what it is. I think, and I'm not 100% sure. I know we played around with it a little bit when we did some alpha testing and stuff, but originally we had it set up too that penalties 3-on-3 were just penalty shots rather than actual 2-minute minors.
Yep.
So we were looking at stuff like that. So I'm not sure if any of that really made it into the beta or if that's the direction they're going, but I do think that'd be something that would be a lot of fun if we did try that out, if we did end up having 3-on-3 human goalies, penalties or penalty shots, and just like turn it into like, an offensive score fest is what most people wanted out of the mode, and it's a lot of fun. I know initially when it was all announced and stuff, when I was there in December and we were doing pre-launch stuff and they were kind of going over the feature set, the whole idea of 3-on-3 kind of came off extremely like casual in my opinion, and I wasn't really keen on how it was all playing out, and I was a little bit worried that maybe this was going to take away from the competitive side of ESHL and stuff, but after getting some hands-on experience playing some 3-on-3, I do feel that it's a lot of fun, and it gives you a lot of like puck time too. So if you have a couple guys on prior to an LG game and you want to play something and really get a feel for the puck, 3-on-3 is definitely the direction you're going to want to go. Awesome. That's kind of how it plays right now.
Now, for people who don't know, explain to us kind of what your involvement with the product is, or with NHL or with EA. What's your kind of involvement with them and the game itself?
So about, I think I'm into year 2-ish now. About 2 years ago, coming into NHL 17, I was selected for the EA Game Changers program. So what the Game Changers program is from EA, it's a program they put together for all their game titles where they bring in members of that set community who have a lot of involvement or play the game a ton, are good players, have access to community, all those things, right? So I think that I kind of fit into a couple different categories. Obviously, having LG and the community that we have here, we have a lot of the hardcore, really competitive players who play hockey here. So having their feedback on the title, I think, really makes sixes and a lot of the competitive side of hockey really have a voice. So with that being said, so my role is we usually go down. We're part of the feature set stuff, which is in December, they say, hey, guys, this is what we want to do for the next NHL game. We brainstorm it. We do PowerPoints. We talk. We do all that kind of stuff, right? And then usually March, April, we get together. We do alpha testing. So a lot of the new stuff that they want to introduce is usually built and it's in the game by that point. So we get a little bit of like rough feedback and a rough feature on how that stuff plays. And then usually this time of year, or we get to go back down for some beta testing, and then we get to play the beta prior to you guys getting hands-on, give some kind of final feedback, tweaking, and then the beta is released with our input, and then from there, the title is launched next. So that's kind of what my role is with EA. There's a handful of us in the LG community that are part of that program as well, which I think really gives us a huge voice, especially for competitive hockey. It's really, really good for us, I think, to have that many people. So
Nice.
So as far as LG goes, will you be running another Friday night puck with the beta that comes out? And if you do, will that be both a 6-versus-6 Friday night puck and 3-on-3? Will you just do 3-on-3, just 6v6? How do you plan on integrating the beta, or do you at all like you did last season?
Ideally, I'd like to. I think our community had a lot of fun with the beta, right? So I think if we can integrate it as much as possible, that'd be really good for us. But it literally just comes down to what they put in the beta. I haven't seen the final release of what it's going to be. There's a good chance and a good possibility I'll have early access to the beta prior, like maybe a week in advance to prepare everyone else. So if that's the case, I'll be able to take a look at what options we have. And then from there, I'll be able to Triz and I game share. So if I have early access, he'll have early access. So he can kind of see what things we have, which will give us the ability to, look at what options we are. Because, if they may introduce, say, 3-on-3 and 6s without the ability to do club challenge. And if that's the case, that may end up screwing us a little bit for having integration with LG. But the hope is if there are options like that, then we definitely could put some stuff together for the community. You guys can get together, play together, and go from there. I also know, too, last year I gave away like 600 beta codes. So I'm hoping to have a ton of PlayStation and Xbox beta codes again this year to give away, and hopefully get some early access for some of our community members, which would really benefit us together. So that's what I'm kind of looking for over the next little bit. So we'll see.
Nice. So if they do have the ability to use the beta for club challenge and that sort of thing, then we definitely do on the site then want to try to at least get a Friday night puck in with that to get major community feedback.
Absolutely. Okay. And even too, even if there's none of that stuff, there will be like the typical posts that are made by me in regards to, for your feedback and stuff, because that just gives me insight to be able to take it back to you and be like, LG being probably the most competitive sixes community in regards to PlayStation and Xbox right now. Obviously, our feedback for skating, passing, shooting, deking, all that stuff, right? We definitely want feedback on how it all plays out. So that'll definitely be a big part of it. Even if we don't have the ability to run the Friday night puck or whatever, we'll definitely be looking for a ton of community feedback for sure.
Cool. So go ahead.
The one thing I just wanted to ask real quick, and this may not be something that you can or cannot answer.
Yep.
Did they adjust the game engine at all? Did they change it, or is it still the previous one that they've used?
So you're talking more about Frostbite, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know there was lots of talk about going to Frostbite, and is the new game going to support 4K? Is it going to support this, that, blah blah blah, right? So I guess
the servers is what everybody's worried
I don't know off by hand 100% if it has switched to Frostbite. Part of me doesn't think so, but I'm not 100% sure what has changed, and we haven't really had those discussions since about December. I know when we're in studio playing with them, we don't really get those are some of the questions that never really come up. We never really think about them because we're too busy looking at gameplay features and so on and so forth. In regards to the servers, I'm not 100% sure what I can say, but what I do know is a lot of the server issues and concerns, obviously the community has had in regards to, I can't get into the locker room, I can't do this, I can't do that, blah, blah, blah. A lot of those concerns were really put under the microscope and will hopefully result in some fixes. I do know there has been some other server adjustments that we have looked at. I don't know the 100% the specs of what the 100% got changed, but there was some server adjustments made. They look back at some of the coding they've had that's really old. They've been using a lot of the same kind of principles and concepts for a long time, right? So they went back and looked at a lot of that stuff to hopefully address it for NHL 17 NHL 18. Whenever I get the 100% the specs of what was changed and how things feel. That stuff I'll be posting, letting you guys know. But I do know there was some server adjustments based on some feedback that came from the website. So I think the biggest thing will be is whenever we get to play the beta and try some stuff out, that'll be the time for us to really see if we notice any differences or if that's what things are fixed up. So that's kind of the direction that we're going with that. So there was some adjustments. In regards to Frostbite, I honestly am not 100% sure. I know there was definitely plans and talk, and I'm even too. I can kind of vaguely remember discussions about 4K and is the game going to be in 4K and is it going to support 60 frames per second and a lot of that stuff. And part of me wants to say yes, that was the direction the game was going, but at this time I can't 100% confirm or deny if that's 100% what the final title is going to be.
I guess the biggest thing that people are worried about is not necessarily even the game engine. If the game engine affects the online experience, then yes, the game engine. But I think mainly it's more server related and connection related and lag related. That seems to be just something that plagues a hyper competitive league when another team will start a game and you'll be at a clear disadvantage before the puck's even dropped.
Or even the bullshit stuff that drives us crazy. Like, you can't, like, you try to get into a game and you load in the side select where you pick your build and and you're not even in the game, right? Like, that stuff is kind of stupid. I know I took a lot of game footage and a lot of video in regards to what that happened, and all that stuff went directly to the Q&A team. So they've been working on that kind of stuff, since the switchover. So since March, they've been looking at a lot of those little stupid issues that we're having. So I'm hoping the majority of those get fixed. Even the stupid shit where the game lags out and for whatever reason that game doesn't save to the server, so our API doesn't work. We've even looked at some more support for the API. We've talked to them and talked to the guys who handle the the stat side of club, what's tracked and what's not tracked. We've looked at a lot of that, hoping to be able to get get that stuff put forward and get that stuff added and adjusted and corrected and all that jazz, right? So that's kind of where we're sitting right now, hoping that it'll be better moving forward.
Right on.
Yeah, and I think part of the frustration is that it seems right now, connection-wise, that it's flip-flopped. So by that I mean, let's say you take any 10 club games that you play in a row, you'll get 2 or 3 good or decent connections out of those 10 games, instead of it being 7 or 8 with 1 or 2 that are iffy. And I think that's the part. It feels like the changes that they've made with updates to the game through 17 have fixed certain things, but made some of the connection things a little bit worse sometimes. I don't necessarily know how to describe it other than that everything just feels slow. It doesn't feel like if I hit stick lift, it's not that it's stick lifting 2 seconds after I do it. It's just that the actual speed of doing it is much quicker in one game versus another. And, we've done things like change to gaming monitors and stuff like that to try and cut down on that on our end. But there's still issues like that I think are the biggest thing that people are concerned about heading into the new game.
Yeah, you know what? It's some of the server select stuff is a little bit wonky at times. I know we spend a lot of time trying to break down issues with them. They're saying well, if you have players from different places in North America, what server selected for the game sometimes can be an issue, which obviously is something that we'll experience in LG, right? We have guys from West Coast, East Coast, all over Central. So depending on
Austria.
Yeah, we may end up in situations where we're connecting to a server you don't want to be on, which obviously causes issues. We're trying our best to kind of get to a system where it'll play, even if it's for server selection, even just for club challenge, because club challenge is what we're using. Obviously, I don't for club is different. I don't really care too much about that. Obviously, people want competitive gaming, but if you want competitive club, that tends to be club challenge is the way to go, because that's what our esports stuff and obviously LG is using. So we just want that to kind of favor. So if you've got 12 players in a game, let's say 8 of them are East Coast, 4 of them are West Coast. Obviously, we want that server for that game obviously to be East Coast, right? Because the majority of the players are on the East Coast is kind of what we're looking for. So that type of stuff, I know they were having a little bit of issues with that. I'm hoping will be addressed, and I know they've been testing some of it, but once it gets out in the wild, that's when we'll have a better understanding if it works or not, right?
I guess my question there would be why wouldn't you want that server to be Midwest?
Central, right?
So the issue is right now
connecting at the same distance.
There is no central server.
Okay, that's the problem then.
Yes,
obviously. Okay.
Yeah, so that's another thing we've asked to have addressed is but the potential chance of could you just add an additional server? Like could we get a central server in Chicago where games where it's like people from all over, we just have one. So instead of me on the East Coast pinging 40 to the West Coast, maybe I'll ping 20 to Central where I normally ping 15 to where I am, right? So
right.
we've talked about all those things.
That's what I think would be huge.
Yeah, for sure. So I know last year too for 17 they put some stuff in so they could track game matching and issues, blah blah blah. And the intention was to see if it would be valid for a central server to be added. I know that was one thing that was talked about. So moving forward, hopefully that's something we could look at. I know we did talk about it. I'm not 100% sure if it's a possibility or if it's going to happen, but it is something we have looked at. So we'll see. But once they, like I said, they have made some changes, but until it gets out in the wild for us to test it, and
Right.
complain and look at stuff, then it's it's hard for us to determine if the changes they made were effective or not, right? So we'll have to wait and see.
It's got to get out among the animals.
Yeah. So moving on to the game itself, it gets released, and that'll be season 6 for the PlayStation side of LG. And what is that going to be? Season 29?
28 for Xbox, yeah.
What are our plans as a league with the new game? Are we going to be doing any kind of LG addition to leagues or anything regarding 3-on-3 as a full-time thing instead of just maybe a Friday night puck or anything along those lines?
So what's kind of cool is, and it's actually really good timing, is I literally got the schedule for the next 3 seasons today. But so the biggest goal, and obviously you guys are testing right now, is I said a while ago I wanted to get rid of the Thursday night game altogether. And obviously the biggest reason I wanted to get rid of it was because of 3-on-3. I knew it was coming. I knew there would be an opportunity for us to utilize it, all that stuff, right? So I wanted the Thursday night game gone from LG. So it's going pretty well on the Xbox, on the NHL side and PlayStation.
And it's a single game. So it's tough for people to show up.
No one wants to play it. It's a single game. It's a pain in the ass. So it was ideal to get rid of that game. So having that option right now, I think, is really helped out. So the game plan is we're going to add 3s. We're going to have a Friday night puck style 3s that's going to be on Thursday nights, which will give everyone an opportunity, to play with their friends, play 3-on-3, use Club Challenge, all that jazz. The other thing I've looked at is in August when the playoffs start for the league this season, we're going to run an IHL, which is going to offer international play, and it's only going to be for players in the NHL and AHL that are eliminated from the playoffs or were eliminated from the first round of the playoffs. That's the only people that are going to be allowed to play in that event, which literally allows us to keep almost 90% of the league active during the playoffs, because obviously when teams get added or get eliminated, we don't have less teams playing, less players playing. So IHL, what we could end up doing, IHL, what we could end up doing in the future, that tournament will be 3-on-3. So we can have bigger teams, run more games, run 3-on-3, and kind of go from there for the IHL. Something we can look at as well. And then obviously the biggest thing everyone talks about is when you look at the esports division is, there's a lot of really, really, really good teams that are made up of, 6, 7, 8 players. So if we take that and we divide that down to, teams of 5, teams of 4, and play 3-on-3, now we just have taken the competitiveness from that 6's community, split it up a little bit so we can run a few esports events for money that are 3-on-3, which I think would showcase some really incredible offensive skill, which is something we're looking at as well too. For LG for 3-on-3.
Who would want to be the goalies in those games?
It's actually kind of funny you said that too, because when we first started,
extremely good.
We debated quite a bit about do we want the goalies in 3-on-3, and right from the beginning I wanted it, right? And then a couple of our goalie guys played, and we're like, you know what, I'm getting 30, 40 shots a game, and I'm getting scored on 9 or 10 times, but I'm still getting 30 shots. So we're getting a lot of action, which is a lot of fun, right? So that's kind of the direction it's gone. So people
kind of like a pseudo trainer for goaltenders. I bet you the goalies that come out the other side of that, when they go back to 5-on-5, are going to be ripping it up.
Oh,
they're
for sure.
So used to facing shot after shot, reading plays, and really getting into it. They're going to go back to 5-on-5 and be like, "Oh man, this is slow."
They'll probably be thinking along the lines of, "Whoa, how did you get to that to defend it?"
No, yeah, definitely. It's it's kind of cool. So
interesting.
So you do plan on doing maybe a money league with the 3-on-3 and that sort of thing. That's cool. I like the idea. And that, of course, I guess to be clear, wouldn't take the place of the current ESHL that you have.
No,
It would
it'd be additional events. And the other thing too, the Xbox guys have been throwing around ideas for a while of having like a state tournament. So it's like, you get a group of teams, they represent Pennsylvania, they represent, New York, they represent whatever the state may be, right? So those teams will play together against each other in like a weekend tournament or something. We could look at something along those lines as well too. So
nice. So as far as you said you got the 3-season schedule for which would be the 3 seasons on NHL 18.
Yeah.
What changes are we looking at for LG to improve the league, or what ideas do you guys have? Because you guys are constantly coming up with new things, trying to keep the league fresh and obviously always trying to improve.
So if everyone doesn't know, Vegas is coming 100%. Vegas will be coming next season. They will be in the league. The game schedule that we're looking at is pretty unique and pretty cool. So how it's set up right now is Sunday through Wednesday, we have 9 game slots. Every team plays 9 times, and there's only 9 game slots. That's the typical what we've been used to for the last 5 seasons. When we add Vegas, to make Vegas work, we actually have to add an additional time slot. So then going into next season, there'll be 10 time slots. So right now, the time slots are Sunday's got 9 to 10, Monday's got 9 to 10, Tuesday's got 9, 10, 11, and Wednesday, I believe, is 10, 11, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So then what's going to happen is one of 2 things. The schedule is either going to be Sunday will have 9, 10, Monday will have 9, 10, 11, Tuesday has 9, 10, 11, and then Wednesdays will have 9 and 10, or we'll keep that 10, 11 on Wednesday. But either way, it'll be 10 slots per week is what we're going to. How that'll work out is each week you'll only play 9 times out of those 10 slots. So that may mean week 1, you don't play Sunday at 9. Week 2, you don't play Wednesday at 10. Week 3, you don't play Tuesday at 10. Like that may be the case just to make it work. So the game slot, we're only technically adding 1 new game slot that you may end up playing. But how that's going to work out is you may have 1 vacancy in a place that you normally may have a game. That's how it'll work out to have a 31 team schedule and make it actually make it function and make it play out.
So we're gonna have almost a game in hand type situation too. Then I would assume.
Yeah,
the way it'll work out, you'd be like, oh shit, we're down by 2, but we got 2 games in hand on them.
Well, it's still going to end up having midweek. You'd see that maybe because you're still going to end up having
a game in hand.
Yeah, you're still going to end up having 9 games a week, right? But yeah, you could see something along those lines, right? Because maybe it could be the last game of the week. The last week of the season, you're chasing a team. You play 3 games Wednesday, and they're done by Wednesday at 10. So that very last game that you play, you're behind by a point. They're already done for the season, and now your season's on the line. Like you may see situations like that.
Now, to make the schedule easier for LG, did you guys ever consider just making it an even 32 teams and maybe adding in a Quebec or something?
Yeah, I considered it, but I hate that idea. It's not real. So
why wouldn't they have done that in the NHL? That's what I don't know.
Yeah, that's literally the conversation. That's literally how the conversation went with Triz and I. He went, "Do you want to add Quebec?" I went, "Why?" He's like, "For the sake of easiness." I was like, "No, I don't want to do it." I'm like, "I think it's stupid." He was like, "I think it's stupid too." And then we both literally said, "Why didn't the NHL actually do it?" So we're not going to do that. The only way we are going to do, because I know it's a little bit unrealistic, is there's tons of rumors right now that the Utah Grizzlies will be the AHL affiliate. AHL affiliate for Vegas. So, and that's not official. They won't be in the game as that, blah, blah, blah. But what's going to happen is we're going to end up using the Utah Grizzlies as the 31st AHL team, just to make it easier for us, right?
Totally.
So that the Utah Grizzlies will be added to the Central Division, which I believe is where the Cleveland Monsters are. And that division is where Utah will end up going to. So that's kind of the direction we're going with that.
That's going to make it a hell of a lot easier for sure. Rather than having to.
I did have a member come to me saying that they would be willing to take Vegas with no AHL team, just a training camp, which is realistic. But I thought, how feasible is that going to be? And you know what I mean? So I respectfully declined and said, no, I'm good.
Right. The only bad thing about that though is that you can't ECU prospects in the NHL. So
Yeah,
if
exactly.
you had only
So-
a training camp, you're taking veteran and amateur players and not allowing them to play for the full season.
Yeah, exactly. It makes it really complicated. So that's the direction we're kind of going with adding Vegas. That's how the schedule is going to work. I'm going to post about that likely tomorrow or maybe late tonight. But yeah, that's how the schedule is going to look. Once it's the AHL schedule is completely done too, we'll probably release a Google Doc link that's published that has all this stuff added to it, like all the new scheduling and all that stuff.
Okay. And then I guess the other burning question is, I don't know if you can answer this yet or
Roster
not.
resets. I'm not talking about it.
All righty.
So what I posted, there's been lots of discussions about how am I going to introduce Vegas. Some people think it's impossible to introduce Vegas without a roster reset. Some people have crazy expansion ideas. Some people have a draft idea. There's been a ton of wild ideas. Some of them are pretty cool. Some of them are pretty neat. I've looked at all of them and kind of thought, okay, like what's my take on it? From the beginning, I've always kind of had my own idea of how this is going to work out. And the roster reset idea was the absolute like kind of last resort idea I had. Some people think I'm crazy that I think I can introduce another team without having a complete roster reset. That's not the case. I think it's doable, and I'm going to try my best to make sure that that's the direction we go because I really don't like a reset idea. With that being said, I did post the other day in the NHL office that the ability to trade for additional re-signs in the NHL will no longer be a thing. So if you don't understand what I mean by that, every team gets 2 re-signs. Those re-signs will have to be players on your roster before you. So how it's going to work is off-season begins. You're given, let's say 4 days to do re-signs. Once those 4 days are done and every team has used the re-signs or not used the re-signs and we shut re-signs down, that's when the trade window opens up. So it literally doesn't allow you to trade for a player on another team, re-sign them, and trade them back.
Right.
Because that was kind of the issue.
Yep, and that makes
that's
sense.
Gone.
So
that's gone now.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, there's a ton of teams that start every year with nobody on their roster. They cut the 2 remaining guys that are under contract and they start from scratch anyway. I mean, we did it in season 3, so I mean, it's definitely doable, and teams do it every single season. So I mean,
I agree. So that's kind of that'll all play together at the same time. So the introduction of Vegas, once I know 100% what I want to do and how I'm going to handle it, which will probably likely be, maybe closer to the end of August when the playoffs wrapping up, just to so everyone can stay focused on the current season.
Right.
Then I'll give you guys a heads up, a public announcement. Maybe we'll get a show together too, and we'll talk about. I'll make the announcement on the website of how I'm going to handle it. Then we can get together, do a show. And we can kind of take some questions and stuff too at the same time. But yeah, right now I don't really want to talk too much about it. I just want to give everyone a heads up that there are a lot of ideas. And if you have your own little take on how this works best, by all means, just let me know.
Okay.
And we could look at that too and get people to post, get people to send ideas, send me PMs, whatever it may be. So.
No,
it's actually getting me a little excited for the next season.
I do want to ask because based on my question about adding the 32nd team and why you didn't do it, because they really didn't, so we're trying to match the real thing here. As far as like, I'm not, obviously this isn't saying this is happening, you're not saying it is, but is a fantasy draft an expansion draft even something that would be possible in a league format such as LG?
There's a way to do it. A couple ways to do it. So to say it's impossible, I think is wrong. To say it's, I don't know. It's hard to
because there would have to be because draft picks were automatically protected in the real NHL, so those would have to be out if you're going based on the real format. So you'd have to have every team would have to have somebody under contract.
Like I said, there's a way to do it. I'm not 100% sure if that's the direction we're going to go or the way we're going to do it, but there is a way to do that kind of stuff.
Okay, because that would be. I mean, we have a team obviously, but an expansion draft thing just to get a team off the ground is not something I'd be opposed to. If we found the right way to do it, I think it's a cool idea. I was just wondering if you thought yes or no, whether it's far-fetched or not, is it a possibility that could work in this format?
Like I said, there's a way to do it. It's more of a hype. Like everyone wants it because of the hype. Is it really practical for a league? Maybe not. Right. Is there a better way to handle this? I kind of think so. So, yeah.
Okay. Well, I won't push you too much further on that, but so we have, I guess, will IHL be starting during the second week of the playoffs, and that's why first week playoff elimination teams can participate?
Normally, yes, that's how it works. Is we normally do it during the second round. That's how it starts. Run a 3-week IHL.
I think we did. Yeah, we did it that way last year, right? God, I can't remember now.
Yeah, I don't remember. There's been so
much.
Like
I said, I haven't sit down with the staff coming up to be able to make it work properly. So I'm not 100% sure, but likely to have it all function properly, it'll begin during the second round of the playoffs.
Yep.
Okay. So we'll do we'll do a draft format like we always do. The draft will be like the Thursday of round 1 or whatever it may be, and then kind of go from there.
And then so at some point in NHL 18, I'm assuming you're going to be doing another Can-Am.
That Can-Am stuff I kind of leave up to the competitive sixes community. I don't really have a part in that. I think it's a good idea. I know they like to do their own thing and run how they want. So that probably will likely be an idea if they want to do it. Maybe it'll be 3-on-3. Maybe it won't. Right. So we'll see what they want to do.
Okay. That's the direction.
There's rumblings of a World Juniors being organized for the CHL.
I won't confirm or deny that. I know I've had some quick talks about bringing the World Junior event to the PlayStation side of things and how we handle it. So we'll see.
That'd be
what
awesome.
happens.
If you're doing IHL for NHL and AHL players, having a World Junior for the CHL players would be an amazing idea.
That's really kind of the direction it goes. We would do that,
especially with.
It'd be interesting
to give T-Sibs a shout out. He's. We'll see what happens with him next season, but to this point, he has done an incredible job helping build that CHL media team. The kind of coverage that those guys would have for that World Juniors with the guys who are doing the media for the CHL could make it a really big event down there.
Oh, for sure. The CHL players on the PlayStation side don't really, really care about their league and the direction it's going and the events like this. So I do think it's something we can, if we can get to work, we'll do it and it'll be really good for the league, I believe, too. So.
Mm-hmm. I think any special event, you get the IHL. If you even do a Friday night puck with the beta, 3-on-3, 5-on-5, 6-versus-6, whatever it may be, any event like that, Can-Am, those are things that get people excited in between seasons, especially when you have, like you said, most of the league at the playoff time is done for the season. It gives them something to look forward to and keeps the site traffic up.
Oh, definitely, for sure. That's the idea, right? Is some people who don't make the playoffs are get eliminated, like the break, like the time off from LG, and I respect that. That's cool. But there are people who kind of like, man, it sucks I didn't make the playoffs. I want to keep playing.
Yep.
And if that's the case, events like IHL are kind of the direction to go. And if we can hammer down a decent IHL format and have people that can manage teams and run it, and it's not too much on the staff or whoever to help set it up, then we'll run 3 IHLs a year. And we'll just run one. We'll run 3.
Nice.
In between each season, we can run an IHL, right? So.
Yep. Well, if we do a 3-on-3 IHL, I'll say right now, I won't speak for Moran, but a 3-on-3 IHL is something that I think would be a great opportunity for us to break into, trying to figure out a good way to broadcast games that we can bring into the regular LG NHL games.
For sure. And even too, look at it this way too. We had this discussion a couple days ago. I think the 3 of us about how people don't want to play the All-Star game. Well, if you want to do an All-Star game, let's do the All-Star game 3-on-3.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
I was going to suggest that, but since that's not till next season, I didn't want to push you down that far.
But that's definitely something we can consider, right? So
that's something that I would 100% think would at least. It would, first of all, it would make it possible to get the games played because you don't need to get as many people organized to play the games.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing for sure. And then it's a little more fun.
Exactly. It'll be an all-star format type game where all-star players can actually showcase their talent. So
I wonder. Sorry, this just popped into my head, but you said you currently have the beta, right?
No, I said I'll likely have it. I'll likely have it a week before you.
Because I'm curious with the 3-on-3. I mean, obviously you should be able to pick whether or not you want to be an offensive or a forward or a D-man, right? They shouldn't limit you to just 1 forward and 2 D-men. You should be able to have like 2 forwards and 1 D-man or something if you want.
So I know when I played 3-on-3, it was set to 2 forwards, 1 defenseman, and we recommended to go whatever you want. Like it should be 3 positions and pick any build you want. So if you want to play 2 defensemen and a forward, go for it. But if you want to play 3 forwards, go for that too, right?
Right. Yeah. Interesting.
And that would just be on the design of the player builds to show kind of like a chess match. If you have someone picking 3 forwards and you have another team that picks a defenseman, there should be a disadvantage and advantage for both teams in a certain area based on the player builds they choose.
Yeah, for sure.
That would be it's just another, type of chess match between what you want to pick. But yeah, I think that'd be cool. You just basically go into the regular DR, like you said, hop on right D, center, or all 3 forward positions, and then click 3-on-3 and go with those positions. That would be ideal. And that would be something I guess you have to talk about. Well, we don't need to get into this right now, but do you have any idea, just a general idea of how rosters would be built for 3-on-3 for IHL?
Like no, not a clue. I haven't put any thought into that at all. So.
Okay. Well, I could sit here and ask questions for the next, 10 hours, but I think we've got a pretty good idea of where we're heading on things that you can talk about. I think we should get you on here at some point, maybe week 9 or during the playoffs before IHL starts, and maybe when we're closer there to the release, talk about some of the things that you've got set in stone for the upcoming season and kind of let everybody know.
Yeah, no, that works for me for sure.
Perfect. Well, I'll be in contact with you off of the show, obviously. So thank you, Brody, for jumping on here. Again, this is LG McDonald taking time to come on here and answer questions about NHL 18 and hopefully get everybody excited about it, because, whether you're thinking about servers and everything, whatever connection issues, just the general format from which LG will be able to draw from this, I think, is extremely exciting, and the people in the league have a lot to look forward to with the release of the new game. So thank you for coming on to talk about it.
No problem, man. Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks for coming on, Brody.
Have a good night,
man. Take care, guys.
Bye, buddy. You too. That got me a little bit excited for the game, huh?
And that was LG McDonald, as I said. Joining us on Canada Day. That was not planned. That just kind of happened. But thanks. I want to thank him again for his time. He spent, about 45 minutes talking to us about that stuff. And yeah, it's throwing out the negative stuff that we talked about before he got on. I'm excited about the prospects of what we can do as a site here with 3-on-3. And, the IHL or just Friday night pucks 3-on-3 would be a nice change up from doing the normal 6v6 league during the week. And honestly, with how tough it is to get players around to play games, especially in the quote unquote summer season, it'll be a nice feature to be able to jump in a DR with just 3 guys and go knock out a 3-on-3 game together without having to worry about a couple of copies on the ice with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that'd be interesting. It will be interesting to see how it all works out, man. I just don't know. I just want practice mode back.
Right. Well, that's not coming. So, I think
it'd be retarded if it's not.
I think what's interesting to me, and I didn't ask Brody about this because I don't know how to really approach it in a manner that's not attacking, because I'm not attacking him or EA at all. But like right. I was talking to you before the show. I play other games. I don't need to get into what they are, but I play with people from Europe or play with people from South America, things like that. And generally speaking, there aren't too many connection issues. Most of the time, you will see the one-off guy who's got a ping of like 200 on Rainbow Six or something. But for the most part, your gameplay is pretty smooth unless your own internet at home is causing issues with it. And I think that's what's most frustrating for NHL, is that it's now openly and widely known that they have specific servers, and based on which server you connect to based on where you live, basically you're going to either have a good or a bad connection. And it will be maybe, for instance, you being in Colorado playing on a line with 5 other people who are on the East Coast. Almost every game your connection is worse than everybody else's on the ice, and
right.
That gets extremely frustrating.
It's beyond frustrating. It's enough to make me want to stop playing. The fact that he just said it right there. I mean, the fact that there's not a central server that's the problem right there. I mean, why would you have, say you have 6 guys from the East Coast playing in a game and 6 guys from the West Coast? Why would you connect to either a West Coast or East Coast server for those 12 people? Why wouldn't you connect to something in the middle so they're all equal distance, relatively speaking, to the centrally located server? Why everybody from the West should have to play on an East server or everybody on the East would have to play on a West server is beyond me. That's like 1990 technology, if you ask me, man. This is 2017, man. Let's get that shit together.
Right. But that was kind of my point. Like we're talking about, maybe Toronto, Buffalo, Florida not being able to connect to Denver, Colorado, Vancouver, things, Alaska, and other games. You can be connecting to somebody in Europe or not
Brazil.
Right, and not have those same issues that are only separated by 1,000 miles instead of 8,000 miles.
Right.
So, I
really connecting from coast to coast should not be an issue in of itself. So,
right. So I hope that gets figured out. Not too optimistic about Frostbite being part of this game based on that conversation with him. Obviously, he didn't know, but it definitely didn't sound like it was anything that they were, hyping to the development team and those guys. So,
like I said, it's not even necessarily that Frostbite is the thing that I'm looking for. I'm just looking for a good online connection for everybody.
I mean, if they
fair games that start equally, each team has an equal chance at winning that game from the beginning. That's all I want. I don't care if they're using Frostbite servers or Frostbite game engines or, Atari. I don't care. No matter what, as long as it's starting where both teams are even at the beginning and it stays that way the whole game, then that's all I give a shit about.
Right.
I don't care what the game looks like, to be honest, just as long as it's a good connection. That's it.
I'll take one for the team myself. Like if they need a place in the Midwest, I'm in St. Louis.
Put it in my living room.
No, put it in my garage, man. Put a server in my garage and make that shit central for everybody, because it's just it's
keep it air conditioned,
like
water cooled.
It's gotten to a point where even if you have a good connection, you lose a game, you can go in the shout box and bitch that you had a bad connection, and people will believe you because it's gotten so bad. So, I'm
well, let's not deny it. I mean, some people will blame stuff on connection.
Oh yeah,
which creates the whole cry wolf scenario.
Right.
If someone's constantly bitching about oh shit, I missed that play because of my connection. Well, it's like it gets frustrating. I hate talking about it, and like you said, I've gotten to the point where it's like, well, I'll let everybody know at the beginning of the game. All right, I'm fucked this game, everybody, just so you know. So that's it. Thank you.
I think that there are other things that you can do, though. How the game is played. So, like we were talking to Frost the other day, we're 9 months into this game. You can have connection issues and things like that, but to play the game and blame the game's animations and things like that constantly for all of your errors and stuff, at some point you also need to adapt to whatever it is that you're playing, or just stop playing it.
Right.
So, for throwing all that aside, I am excited about the new game, and more so what our league is going to do with it. I think that LG is going to have a lot of options, and honestly, the 3-on-3 is something to look forward to, because you have at least four, and if you don't play with goaltenders and you use computer goaltenders, 6 less connections to have to worry about in that game.
Right.
So,
those games will probably be fairly clean.
Right. So, there's a lot to look forward to there, and I'm glad Brody came on to talk about it. It was a lot of interesting stuff that he talked about. So,
I'm pumped about the game every year. I can't believe we're already talking about it, and the beta's a couple weeks away. So that's pretty freaking awesome.
Yep. Well, let's move on from this hour-long conversation we've had on NHL 18 and move into our final segment of the show tonight, this week's LG Hockey Hotline Power Rankings.
Oh, boy. Yeah.
This week's LG Hockey Hotline. And of course, this week we have our power rankings for week 5. We are now past the midway point in the season, and next week will be on Sunday, our, what do we call it, our annual trade deadline special. My voice is echoing, so your headphones are probably turned up pretty loud.
No, they're not.
This week's power rankings are brought to you by nobody. So let's go in.
Brought to you by.
And we're going to do what we normally do here. We'll start off with the goaltenders, and I'll move right into those. Into the number 10 spot this week from your Florida Panthers, you have Bielski making it onto the list with a 3-2 week with a 2.2 goals against average and an 80.7 save percentage with 1 shutout. In the number 9 spot, our old buddy AHL All-Star going 3-1 for the Edmonton Oilers, 2.44 goals against and a 79.3 save percentage, also with a shutout. In the 8th spot for the New York Islanders, Headhunter 9872. The GM and owner not able to make a game there? Interesting to see a third goalie from the Islanders on this list. He went 1-0-1 on the week with a 1.22 goals against and an 87.5 save percentage. In the number 7 spot, Penguins 2013 went 4-0 for the Washington Capitals with a 1.69 goals against and an 82.1 save percentage. In the number 6, and each of these goalies in the top 6 do have at least a shutout, is Belaki for the Buffalo Sabres. He went 5-0 on the week with a 2.15 goals against and an 82.5 save percentage with 1 shutout. And then in the 5 spot for the San Jose Sharks, Jade Dragoon went 4-1 on the week with a 1.68 goals against average and an 82.7 save percentage with 2 shutouts. In the number 4 spot with the league's 3rd star this week for the Detroit Red Wings is Matt Disney. He went 4-0-1 on the week, a 1.88 goals against, an 82.5 save percentage, and 1 shutout. In the number 3 spot is O. Smitty from the Winnipeg Jets, went 2-0 on the week, a 1.0 goals against, 88.9 save percentage, and 1 shutout. In the number 2 spot, picking up the league's 2nd star this week was Kearns. The defending Vezina Trophy winner went 4-1 for the Chicago Blackhawks, a 1.12 goals against, an 87.8 save percentage, and 2 shutouts. And then in the number 1 spot this week, picking up the league's 1st star, he's back, ladies and gentlemen. It's the one and only for the Calgary Flames. He went 6-0 for the 3rd time this season in 5 weeks. He had a 1 goals against average, an 89.3 save percentage, and picked up 3 more shutouts. An outstanding week by the one and only, and being 6-0 on the week and 3 of those games being shutouts, he will bring home LG Hockey Hotline's 1st star of the week for goaltenders as well. Congratulations to the one and only. Let's move on to the defenders. Moran, take it away. You're on mute. Moran.
In the number 20 spot is Primary Flash for the Winnipeg Jets, going 3-0 on the week, picking up a couple points and a +5. In the 19 spot is V. Grindin for the LA Kings, going 2-0 with 5 points, one of which was a goal, finishing even on the week. In the 18 spot is NH4JP for the Edmonton Oilers, going 3-0, picking up 1 point, but a huge +11 on the week. In the 17th spot is Odie for the New Jersey Devils, going 3-0 with 4 points +7. In the 16th spot is his D partner from last season and an official mark for the Buffalo Sabres, going 3-0 on the week with 5 points, one of which was a goal and a +1 on the week. And in the 15th spot is Braden for those same Buffalo Sabres, going 3-0 on the week with 5 points, picking up a goal and a +1 on the week. In the 14th spot is Dazui for the Calgary Flames, going 3-0, 3 points, 2 of which were goals and a +7 on the week, playing both sides of the defense, both right and left D. The same with the 13th spot. That's Boondock 88 for those same Calgary Flames, going 3-0 on the week with 3 points, a +11 on the week, getting it done from both sides of the back end as well.
Everybody
and the number
up
12
there.
spot,
3-0.
Canada's game 416, going 3-0 on the week with 4 points and 1 goal, +12. In the 10th spot is McKeel for the Dallas Stars, going 3-0 with 4 points, 1 goal, and a +5. Rounding out the top 10 is entry 2 for the Columbus Blue Jackets, picked up 5 points on the week with 1 goal and a +10. In the number 9 spot is Gideus 12 for the Washington Capitals, who went 3-0 on the week, who picked up 4 points, 1 goal, +8. In the number 8 spot is Desi D 19 for the Dallas Stars, picking up 5 points, 1 goal, +5 on the week. In the number 7 spot is another Washington Capital and stay at home D for the Washington Capitals, picking up 5 assists, +5 on the week, playing both sides of the back end as well. And another Washington Capital in Enable V2 or Enable 7, that's 3-0 on the week with 5 points, +7. And the number 5 spot is another Washington Capital. 4 of their 6 defenders making the list this week, so that's an outstanding job by the Washington Capitals. Rounding out the top 5 is pass to Tyler for the Washington Capitals, picking up 5 assists and a +7. In the number 4 spot is Red Mile 89 for the Calgary Flames, going 3-0, picking up 3 points, 2 of which were goals, and a +11 on the week. In the number 3 spot, make that Red Mile 1 LG's 3rd star of the week. In the number 3 spot is LG's 2nd star of the week and greatest ever, who picked up 4 points, all assists, +13 on the week for the Chicago Blackhawks. In the number 2 spot, picking up LG's number 1 star, is Breezy 5457 for the Nashville Predators, picking up 6 points, all assists, +7 on the week. And then the top spot for the Philadelphia Flyers is M. Pelly 25, going 2-0 on the week with 7 points, 2 goals, +7 on the week. This one's a tough one for me. I wish I could have a little bit better look at this. Should have taken a better look to see who these guys played and strength of schedule. But you know what? For the first time ever, I think I'm going to give it to a guy who only played 2 games on the week, and that is M. Pelly for picking up 7 points in 2 games. For a defenseman, that's an outstanding job. That's 3.5 points per game. And that is a first time ever that a guy has ever won the defensive first star for only playing 2 games. So good job, Pelly.
Moving on to this week's forwards in the number 20 spot, I've got your 6. Picked up 8 points. 7 of those were goals and a +4. Everybody on this list went 3-0 unless I say otherwise. In the number 19 spot for the LA Kings is Swift Defeat, picking up 10 points with 5 goals and a +4. In the number 18 spot, Spray and Pray went 2-0-1 for the Detroit Red Wings, picking up 16 points, 9 goals, and a +18. I'm assuming the 0-1 put him down in the 18 spot, but not sure because we have another one here. In the number 17 spot, Woy went 3-0 on the week for the Columbus Blue Jackets, picking up 17 points, 4 goals, a +12. In the number 16 spot for the Calgary Flames is Nuge. He went 3-0, 9 points, 7 goals, and a +11. In the number 15 spot, becoming a familiar name on this list week over week for the Detroit Red Wings is Sudsy. He picked up 13 points. 10 of those were goals and a +12. In the number 14 spot for the Edmonton Oilers, Gucci Mane, picking up 10 points and 6 goals with a +10. The 13 spot has Rick Chell 98 from the Chicago Blackhawks, picking up 11 points, 6 goals, and a +13. In the number 12 spot for the Washington Capitals, King Bling, picking up 14 points, 6 goals, and a +7. In the number 11 spot, Jim Benning, a.k.a. Voltep, went 2-0 on the week, picked up 12 points, 3 goals, and a +7. That is a 6-point per game average, which I believe is the highest on this list. In the 10 spot, we have Headshot for the Nashville Predators, picking up 11 points, 6 goals, and a +14. In the number 9 spot for the Philadelphia Flyers is LOL. He picked up 10 points in 2 games. 7 of those were goals and a +7. In the number 8 spot for the Philadelphia Flyers, Polgs, going 2-0 with 11 points and 4 goals and a +7. In the number 7 spot, Terry Torr for the Buffalo Sabres picked up 14 points, 8 goals, and a +1. In the number 6 spot, we have Colt Crazy for the Dallas Stars, 12 points, 8 goals, and a +6. In the number 5 spot for the Nashville Predators, Marner 93, picking up 13 points, 6 goals, and a +14. In the number 4 spot for the Philadelphia Flyers, again, is Run Like Hell, going 2-0 with 10 points, 7 goals, and a +7. Moving into the top 3 with the league's 3rd star this week is C.C. Piper. He picked up 15 points, 7 goals, and a +13. In the number 2 spot is Extra LG, going 3-0, 16 points, 9 goals, and a +11. And in the number 1 spot with the league's 1st star is Clarkus Cog, picking up 17 points, 11 goals, and a +12. What's interesting is that Woy went 3-0 on his line with the exact same number of points and the same plus-minus, and is in the 17th position down there.
4 goals. Difference
Right.
is 4 goals to 11 goals.
Right, but look at everybody else in between them. And he played center. So anyway, that was this week's 1st star for LG, Clarkus Cog. And I think I'm going to have to go in the same route here. Clark not having the same season he did last season, not getting too discouraged, played some games with him today. Was pretty happy with the week that he was able to have, helping Columbus stay at the top of their division again, going 3-0. So congratulations to Clarkus Cog, going 3-0 on the week, picking up the 1st star, 17 points, 11 goals. So there you have it. Those are our 3 stars this week, Clarkus Cog, M. Pelly, and the one and only. I think for me, that is it. Congratulations to everybody who won the stars, and hopefully you guys enjoyed the time we spent with Brody at LG McDonald talking about NHL 18 and some things to come for LG. It's going to be pretty exciting with IHL possibly being 3-on-3, and we'll see. We'll definitely get a Friday night puck going on the beta as long as we have club challenge abilities. So things to look forward to for season 6 and just before season 6, as we are on the verge of the release of another new NHL game. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I am finished, Marie, and I'm kicking it over to you to close it down.
All right. Well, I just want to just real quick before we get out of here, I'm just going to run down the Eastern Conference current playoff standings in the Western Conference. The top 8 teams in the Eastern Conference currently sitting in a playoff spot are the Blue Jackets, the New Jersey Devils, the Washington Capitals, the Buffalo Sabres, the Detroit Red Wings, the Ottawa Senators, the Carolina Hurricanes, and rounding out the top 8 is the Philadelphia Flyers, who do have the Florida Panthers and the Pittsburgh Penguins breathing down their neck. Only just a few points back in the East over there. In the West, we have the Dallas Stars, number 1 spot, Chicago Blackhawks, Nashville Predators, Calgary Flames, San Jose Sharks, Vancouver Canucks, the Edmonton Oilers, the Minnesota Wild, and right on their heels are the Avalanche, the Blues, the Ducks, and the Kings. So just thought I'd throw that out there for everybody. The standings real quick. Looks like we're going to have some interesting races as we get into the second half of the season. We are halfway through just over the halfway mark of the season, and we are on the down slope now. So look for these playoff races to really start to heat up here. And, hopefully we see some interesting battles coming down the stretch. That's it for us. We will see everybody next week for our trade deadline show. Don't miss it. We will be covering the trade deadline as it comes and goes. On Sunday, we will be doing our show instead of Saturday. We will be covering the trade deadline. So tune in for that. And that's all for us this week. We will talk to everyone on the flip side.